Welcome back. This is the BDTV Breakfast Show, and this is The Big Story, your trusted platform for breaking down the key issues shaping our economy, industry, and nation. My name is Elizabeth, and it's always a pleasure to have you start your day with us. Today, we turn our focus on education to discuss in detail the rising number of first-class graduates, which have raised concern and questions, especially from the Academic Staff Union of Universities. ASUU has raised concern about an increasing number of first-class graduates being churned, particularly from private universities. We will go beyond the grade to see if the development is in order or questionable. The union also lamented that the 7% 2025 national budget allocation to education, which is a total of 3.5 trillion naira, is not enough. So we will go and have some more details on this key developments this morning. To help us understand this very important conversation, we're joined by Dr. Jessica Osuere. She's the founder and chief executive officer at Ruby's Hub Educational Services. It's good to have you here, ma'am.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm fine. And you?
I'm very well, thank you. So let me start by asking, firstly, it's very important for our viewers to know who you are. Dr. Jessica is a passionate advocate for quality, collaborative, holistic, inclusive, and equitable education for all. And she has a doctorate degree in educational management planning and a strong educational background in adult education and political science and public administration. She's dedicated to making a positive impact in the educational sector, and it's very lovely to have you here with us this morning. So ASUU has raised concern about an increasing number of first-class graduates being churned, particularly from private universities. Firstly, I want to ask your opinion on this. Are you concerned about this too, or do you think that we are in line, sort of?
I would say we are in line. Like I used to tell people, Nigerians are very intelligent people. We are intelligent. If ASUU is crying wolf over first class being churned out of institutions, then they should call their members to question. As a teacher, you are expected to give your all to your students. If your students are failing, then you as the teacher, you have failed. So if you as a teacher, you are suspecting your students for coming out with first class, then we should ask you, what are you teaching them in the classroom? You know, if you put public schools side by side private schools, you will see a clear difference. In educational planning, we talk about input and output. Whatever you input into the system, your input into the system will determine your output eventually. And in education, our inputs are so many. You know, we talked about the curriculum, good curriculum, standard curriculum that can compete, globally. We talk about teachers or lecturers, those educators, the trainers that are supposed to train these students. We talk about resources, facilities, infrastructure, funding, which is key. Because it's through funding you have, you can encourage your trainers, your teachers, your lecturers to take more initiative, fund research and all that. Then if you put all this together, we'll say we have good input, okay. Infrastructure, materials and all that, library facilities, our labs, all of them, everything is top notch. If you weigh all this input in the private sector, in the private universities versus in the public universities, if we must be truthful to ourselves, there's a clear difference. And that is the truth. There's a clear difference. Those of us who maybe schooled in the 80s, in the 90s, I schooled in the 90s.
Okay.
And I schooled in the public institution. I entered school, I think 94, 95 session. I didn't graduate in 1999, which was about 5 years for a 4-year course. As soon as I entered, we went on a very long ASUU strike, which is not so in the private schools.
It's not.
It's not so. Every child in the private school and that child in the public school, there's a clear difference, and that is the truth. When we were in the university, so many things speak for the private schools. So many things in their favor. Why they are churning out first-class graduates. Like I tell people, Nigerians are very intelligent.
Absolutely.
No matter where you put us in the most difficult situations, we will always shine.
I agree.
And this generation of children you are even having now, they call them Gen Z, right?
Yes.
They are extremely brilliant.
Yeah, and there's a better coming.
Exactly. So they have everything at their disposal. When I was in school, every information we will get, maybe from the library, lecturer will send you, go to library, search out so book. When you get to the library, it's either if you find that book at all, it's either the right pages you were looking for will have been turned out by somebody else. We have obsolete materials in our library, which is not so in the private schools.
True.
Today, the children of today, they can go to the internet. Like I tell people that in this generation, if you fail in school, it means you're not serious. Because every information you can ask for is right there out there on the internet. You can have your entire course content from year 1 to final year on the internet. You can have all your materials, everything you need to read. The children of today, they are not the children you will hide things from, You
can't hide
anything from them. They know everything. So why won't we churn out more first-class graduates? And let me tell you, we have intelligent children across board, either in the private schools or in the public schools. But if we will not deceive ourselves too, in the public school we know some of these lecturers in the public schools, they are like, they carry this like sadistic behavior. They will tell you, I've heard lecturers telling their students, A is for God. B is for me. If you manage to get a C, just go and thank your God. And what does that mean? It just means that whatever the student writes, no matter what to do, go to the library, do anything, you cannot have more than a C in the course. Which you will not see in the private schools. I remember a scenario when I was in, I think 300 level. I went to my lecturer. It was beginning of a new term, a new session, and like student, you want to see your results so that
Absolutely.
If you failed anyone, you can register for this new session. So we went to her to see our results, and she showed me my raw score. Over 60, I think I got 40 or so over 60 minus my CA and other things. And I wasn't expecting that result anyway. I expect something better. So I was like, I just said, I just said, and she turned and said, are you doubting my integrity? Are you questioning me? I said, no, I'm not, man. And right there in my presence, she cancelled my 40 and wrote 0. In my presence. Not that somebody told me, it happened to me.
It happened to you.
And I cried begging, I went to call my other lecturers, they came, they begged. And she told me, if you like, go to the VC. I'm taking this course again, so go and prepare for a carryover. I'm taking this course again, I will still fail you.
That's such a sadistic
Exactly.
approach.
And that is how most of those lecturers behave. They see themselves as God.
Demigods.
You cannot know more than them. Even our Bible, the Holy Book says, you will know more than your teachers. So I expected my students, and I still expect my students to know much more than me. Because that is what my God teaches and says to me, that I know, that I believe. So if your student do not know, there's a problem with you as the teacher, as the lecturer. And one thing again that favors them in the private school, they don't have the type of crowd we have in the public schools. In my 100 level, our classes were so large that in fact we had to contribute money to buy public address system so we could hear our lecturers. So you can now compare a child who went through such, who will either sit on the floor during lectures or hang on the window or, tired, stressed out, trying to hear what the lecturer is saying. You want to compare that child's output eventually with a child that sat maybe inside AC and air-conditioned room, and the lecturer is talking to them like father to children, like mother to her children. You want to compare their output? No.
True.
So that is why when ASUU is crying wolf over first class and all that, for me, I don't think it's Like I heard somebody saying it's those people who will not pass JAM that are in private schools. It's a lie. I've seen children with high scores. My son had over 300 in JAM.
Oh,
It's in a private school.
Wow.
Not because I'm wealthy. I'm not wealthy, you know. I'm not rich. But it's just sacrifice that I cannot let this type of intelligent child go to a public school where he will start and you won't know where he's going to finish.
Yes, that's always the problem. The problem is when the ASUU strikes and then you find yourself still in school.
Still in school. And most of those children, during that strike, the public school children, they will come home. Some of them will join bus drivers, you know, as conductors. Some will be in the market trying to, you know, just get something to take back to school eventually when, you know, just to keep themselves busy. And you want to expect such a child returning to school. Somebody, 2020 ASUU strike was 10 months. So a child who was out of school for 10 months, how do you think that child will get everything he was taught earlier? Before he went on that strike, he could get them exactly, you know, and do better than somebody in the private school that did not even go on any strike that was there, you know.
Absolutely.
So there are so many factors that are responsible for this. Like I've told you, intelligence one. Yeah. Our children are very intelligent, and that's the truth.
Very intelligent. I agree with that.
Speak for myself, and I can speak for so many other children I've interacted with. They are very, very intelligent. We know there are some exceptions, there are some little cutting corner with some people, but majority of our children, they are intelligent. So we must not take that from them. Then in the public school also, you know, like I've said, you have the crowd and all that, you know. And everywhere is just crowded, and you know, so students are distracted. Unlike in the private schools, where everything is, you know, you come to school, you are in school. That's why the faith-based private schools, once you are in school, you are in school. If you are not in the chapel for fellowship, you are either in your classroom or you are somewhere maybe eating, and from there you go back to your room. Unlike in the public schools. The public schools, they are very free. Some are so distracted. They come to school, they go to parties and all that.
And let's also talk about how many students get to be in a classroom.
Exactly. That's the crowd. That is the crowd, which is not so in the private schools. So you cannot blame the private schools churning out, you know, first class graduates. I have a lot of them that attended private schools, came out with first class. Even if you concluded that okay, the school dashed them, you know, in our local parlance, that they dashed them the first class. Yes. They left the private school here in Nigeria, went abroad, studied for their masters in other institutions there, and also came out again with distinctions. So what are we saying? Even in the public schools, we have students that are very, very intelligent. Just as some lecturers are just demigods, you know. So it calls to question your own teaching method, your personality as a teacher. You know, different researches have shown that even your personality as a teacher will go a great extent to determine the achievements of your students. I did statistics in my first degree. You know, all of us we did statistics, and it was very difficult. I never understood it. In fact, majority of us failed it, and it was a final year course. You know. Faculty course, and everybody failed. Almost everybody failed. And the senate of the school had to sit over the results to just allow everybody go. That was why we were able to graduate. And that was even what pushed some of us into 2-2. You know, we narrowly missed our 2-1 because of that failure in statistics, which was a major course. Then I went back for masters. And statistics came again. And I was scared, you know. And a lecturer took me. Eventually, he became my thesis supervisor at PhD level, Professor Mon Wandiani. He took us the statistics. My dear, I was surprised. I was like, was it the same statistics I failed in undergraduate? He so much simplified it, made it so simple. At the end of the day, I got a B. And the B, I was gotten an A. The time allocated for the exam was, you know, just some few hours, you know, compared to the number of questions we were made to answer. So I couldn't answer all the questions. Not that I didn't know them, I knew them.
Then,
That I couldn't
but you didn't
finish.
have ample time.
There was no
answer.
time to finish. And I still came out with a B. So if I had finished, I would have made an A. In a course, I failed at undergraduate level. So which speaks to also the person teaching. What's the relation? I could go to prof. I could go to prof, even from my master's to my PhD. I could go to him anytime. I could go to his house. I will sit in his sitting room. Some lecturers cannot, even in class, you cannot ask them a question.
Yeah.
In class. How much more seeing them on the way? I say, oh, my lecturer. You can't.
You can't.
Which is not what is, applicable in the private schools. When I took my daughter to her school to resume, we were looking for some places, and a lecturer who just finished her class, she was in another department. She left what she was doing. Just, welcome, ma. Anything? Can I help? And I told her, we just brought this child to resume. And she said, okay. She followed us around the school. Took us, in fact, she ended up taking us to the hostel. And sure she settled in before she left. She never knew us from Adam.
Wow.
And that's a private school. Can you have that in the public? No. So in the public, we need to, ASUU need to, look at some of these issues. Yeah. Listen to the students, hear their complaints. They're intelligent. I think if they should do that, and also check their own teaching method, their relationship with students, their personalities and all that, they also will get enough first-class graduates that they will not be suspecting private schools for first-class graduates.
So speaking of, you saying that they need to look at their own method, their own teaching methods, that takes us to the curriculum. So there have been complaints by industry operators that the university curriculum is outdated and can't meet modern needs. I don't know if this is specifically perhaps for just the public schools, because I know that the private schools have a better curriculum. But do you agree with what industry operators have said, that the university curriculum is outdated, and what do you think could be done about that?
Okay, we have in every institution you have the academic planning unit. They are the quality assurance arm of the school. They represent the National University Commission in their respect, individual schools, and they are to ensure the quality of education that the students are getting. So their work majorly is quality assurance, quality control in the schools. Okay. So they look at the curriculum, how relevant is the curriculum, what are the courses we are offering, are they still relevant? If they are not, just like, that's why you see some schools, some courses will not be accredited, some will be accredited because the academic planning units who have done their work know, okay, which one is okay, which curriculum is relevant to what globally, to in global standard and all that. So when academic planning unit is not doing what they're supposed to do, in fact, my thesis was on academic planning unit, trying to see what they do in the different schools in the entire South public universities. And I found out that most of them, after accreditation, they just sit and relax till the next accreditation. So what they're supposed to be doing as the quality control arm of the schools, they are not actually doing them. So you must check, at the curriculum, okay, is everything right? How many teachers do we need to teach this course? Student-teacher ratio and all that. They must ensure that what is the qualification of the teacher teaching this course or that course. They must know what is our carrying capacity as an institution, how many people are we admitting. Today, most universities take much more than their carrying capacity, because we have a youthful population. So many children want to go into school, half of them we cannot admit. So at times, university will bend over, trying to just make sure that at least they get in as many as they could. So, but when you go to the curriculum, actually, I won't say our curriculum are updated. They update them. They actually update them.
Okay.
And across board, because I've had course to check the curriculum of some courses in private school versus public schools, and I noticed that they were the same.
Right.
They were the same. So I think we must give kudos also to NUC for that, So what the child in the private school is getting is likely what the child in the public school is getting in terms of curriculum, just that the delivery might differ.
Might differ, okay.
The teacher, the personality of the teacher and all that might differ. The facilities, the resources to teach that course will also differ. You can imagine engineering department, some that we call mechanical engineers, that cannot even, put things together in public schools. But if you go to some of these private schools, I can tell you they really invested in their schools. Like I tell people, education is cost intensive. It involves a lot of resources and funds. So you cannot just put anything there and you expect a great result, which is what is working for them in the private school. Though we complain that the fees are high and all that, but I, as an educationist, I know that education is cost intensive. So, but for curriculum, I don't think our curriculums are outdated. We check what they do even elsewhere. I see they're almost the same course content and all that.
Oh, wow.
It's just our delivery, and those innovations and all those resources to teach them, to pass the knowledge that might be lacking in some of our institutions. If not, that's my view about that.
And speaking of resources and passing, being able to pass the knowledge down properly, that also brings me to the issue of human capital development. How do you think that this can be improved upon? Because you've mentioned in the conversation about how you'd get the same, aside from the resources available in terms of making it more practical, you find that the way teachers in the private school might pass on knowledge is different from how those in the public school pass on knowledge. So that says that there is an issue of human capital. How do you think this can be improved upon, especially in the public universities?
Thank you. It was Abinci that said that human capital, not natural resources, not income, not material resources, constitute the wealth of nations. So the human capital, we must focus on human capital, developing the human capital in our nations across. And that is the essence of sending our children to school.
Absolutely.
That's the essence of we having teachers. You cannot develop human capital without looking into teachers. Who are our teachers? Are they motivated? So if you, in a situation, in a society where a politician with maybe secondary school certificate earns more than a professor, then we are not serious. We are not ready yet. That's the truth. We are not ready. To develop human capital, you must invest in them. You must invest. You cannot commit 7% of your budget to education and you expect to get a result. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Everything you have, you must invest in them, because everything you are looking for, if we are complaining about insecurity today, we are complaining of this today, complaining of that, it is because we have not developed our human capital the way we should develop them. That brings me to the issue of universities. In the university, at JAM, during JAM, you see people, maybe somebody that scored high scores, you see them maybe in a medicine, pharmacy, all those courses. Then, for faculty of education, they will bring all those, some maybe with 195, some with 200, and put them in faculty of education. And when I see such things, I shake my head that you are destroying the future. This is not how to build human capital. The teachers are the most important in this issue of building human capital that we're talking about. So you cannot have the dregs of the society as teachers and you expect that you are going to grow or develop your human capital. You cannot. No, today nobody wants to be a teacher because there's nothing fascinating, about teaching, about the profession. Those days when we came in, to do education and all that, we were proud. I'm telling you, I wanted to study law.
Wow.
But somehow, I just found myself in faculty of education.
Wow.
In my 200 level, I got the opportunity to change, to change my course. I just said, no, I think I love teaching. So I continued. And I'm very passionate about it, about teaching, about it. I'm very, very passionate. When it comes to education, I'm very, very passionate about it. But not so with a lot of people today. Most people that find themselves in faculty of education today, they just maybe they could not get admitted to other departments, and so they push them to education. And from there, and these are the people that will develop your human capital tomorrow. They are the ones that will teach your accountants. They are the ones that will teach your engineers. You know, so we have turned education and teaching into a dumping ground. Exactly, where you just dump anybody. And when you dump them there, they are not interested. You know, they are not interested. Somebody said, she's a teacher, she read education, but she doesn't have patience with children. And I looked at her and said, so what are you doing as a teacher?
You can't be. You have to be patient.
So obviously somebody like her came into the teaching profession just because maybe there's no other thing to do. So to build human capital, back to that question, to build human capital, we must work on our teachers. We must get the best as our teachers. We must invest in them. We must motivate them. You cannot pay a teacher salary today, cannot buy a bag of rice.
And that's terrible.
So what do you expect from the teacher? The teacher will go to class and unleash his or her frustration on the innocent child or the student. And that's at times where we talk about our lecturers at times in the public schools. I try to see from their own, from their own perspective, that some of these things they do, it could actually be because they're not really motivated.
They're not motivated because you're not paying them well.
You're not paying them well. Really some come to class when they have the class, the whole rest of the week, they are nowhere to the farm.
And that's why a teacher will say that A is for God.
Exactly.
A lecturer, rather.
I have people teaching in private schools. From Monday through Friday, they are in school. Whether you are having a class or not, you are in school. So you can interface with your students at any point in time, which is not so. So we want to build human capital. Let's work on our teachers. Let's encourage our teachers. Teachers should not be the lowest paid people in a nation. We won't grow. Go to countries that are grown. Their teachers are like, they honor their teacher. They respect their teachers. Today, to tell somebody on the street that you're a teacher, it will be very difficult for you to say from your mouth. The only place where somebody will regard you as a teacher is maybe within the school environment.
Yeah.
Oh, teacher, oh, prof, oh, doc, within the school environment. But outside, how much is your salary? What are you being paid? What's your take home? So they're not motivated. So we must focus on teachers. Because no society can grow above the level of its human capital. So if your human capital are all, average, your society will continually be average.
I love that.
That is the truth. So you can't grow above them. So that's why we must invest in human capital, spend money, train teachers. Some teachers, they go from Monday till Friday, they are in school. They apart from maybe the degree they came into that institution with, there's no other degree, no other professional development to learn modern things, to learn.
And it's not because some of them don't even want to learn. It's because
exactly.
They don't have the support.
And the school will not support. If you go to most of these private schools that's in the secondary and in the primary, they just use you, pay you anything they like, and whatever you want to add to your knowledge, you have to go and get it by yourself, which is not so. In other industries, in banking industry, in other industries, they spend money to develop their staff. It's not so in the teaching profession, and it is wrong.
Very wrong.
That is where we should focus. If we must grow our human capital, please let's focus on our teachers.
Absolutely. And if there's something that you've said that really stuck out to me, is you saying that there's no society that can grow beyond the level of its human capital, and that's really profound. So the 2025 national budget allocates 7%, which is about 3.5 trillion naira to education. Now, ASUU says this is not enough. Do you agree or disagree with ASUU?
Totally, I agree with them. It's grossly inadequate. In Nigeria, we have one of the highest number of out-of-school children in Africa. And we are dedicating 7% to education. We are not ready yet. We are not ready. We are not. 7%. Some days ago, I think I was listening to the Chief of Defense Staff, talking about some repentant terrorists that they just try to rehabilitate and all that. And he said 60,000, about 60,000 of them were children. I was alarmed. So we are sitting on a keg of dynamite.
Not even a gun
If
powder.
we have 60,000 children as terrorists, and we are committing 7% to education, oh, we are not ready. Right, even in Lagos, in traffic, you see all these children.
A lot of
They are
them
not in school. They are either trying to help you clean your windscreen so you can give them something, begging on the street. They are everywhere. They are not in school. They should all be in school. And that was why I said initially that education is cost intensive. It's cost intensive. You must spend money. You must put things in to get the desired result that you are looking for. So if this number of children are out of school, then we have a very big problem in our hands. Very, very big problem. Very big problems. And these schools are not just ordinary schools. They are schools. You must pay their teachers. You must put facilities. You must do everything. So it's not just then just going to a school and just learning ABC. No. There are a lot of things you need to put there. Facilities and all that. So that money, to me, that budget is grossly inadequate. Even countries that are developed are committing more to education. We that are not, and we are having all these numbers of out of school children, we are committing less. We are not ready yet.
I completely agree with you when you said we're not ready yet. So there's a lot of work to be done, but thank you so much, Dr. Jessica, for your time. Those insights were very valuable, and I know that we would like to have you some other time again. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
This has been the big story on BDTV Breakfast Show. It's been a delight speaking to you here on the show. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Do stay with us.